Let's say China.
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 China. China. China. China.
There are no stormtroopers, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump's tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes. Hello, and welcome. I am James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if you cannot tell the difference between glass and air. It's Monday, the 5th of March, 2018, and today it has emerged that one of the most dangerous places to work is apparently Apple. That's right, the Cupertino, California campus, also known as the Apple Park Visitor Center, is a very beautiful building. The entire front is made of glass, including the doors, and there have been a number of 911 calls because people walked into them. There were 3 separate incidents this year already, which I know doesn't sound like a huge amount, but remember, we're talking about people walking into glass. So when you look at it that way, it's actually quite a lot of people. And this is not something I'm going to make fun of because I've done this. And it will, firstly, it's really embarrassing because you just fucking walked into a wall. But secondly, it actually really does hurt. There was a door and it was glass and it didn't have any stickers on saying I am a door or pull, whatever doors have. And I was just walking along and I had a hat on, I'll use that as my excuse. I'm just strolling, yeah. Oh, on my phone maybe, I don't know. I don't remember if I was on my phone. But let's say for this reenactment, I'm on my phone. Yeah, definitely. Just in the fucking glass. I tell you what, it really, really hurts because you don't know it's coming and all of a sudden, boom, glass is in your face. Now, the great thing for me was my the impression of my face was in the glass. I didn't break anything. There was no blood. Apparently, I just had a sweaty face that day because when I sort of moved back, I was a bit dazed going, fucking hell, that hurt. And then I look and there's sort of this, the Shroud of Christ, that Turin Shroud of Christ, where you can sort of make out what is apparently Jesus in this cloth. That's what it looked like. I'm not comparing myself to Jesus or anything, but that's what I look like. It's sort of, you could see the image of James Andrews in the glass. So anyway, the 3 calls that have been made to 911, I have the transcripts. I'm going to read them to you. The first call. We had an individual who ran into a glass wall pane and they hit their head. They have a small cut on their head and they are bleeding, slightly disorientated. I love it that they ran into it. I mean, they were like, I cannot get out of Apple fast enough. I'm fucking running. Oh, there's the glass wall again. Now, the second call reads this way. So, we had an employee, he was on campus and he walked into a glass window hitting his head. Has a little bit of a cut on the eyebrow. And then the dispatcher asked, now, is the blood, is it spurting or pouring out? And the caller says, and I love this, I think it's just leaking. A small cut. I love the idea of it's just leaking. He hit his head and the blood's just sort of, it's leaking out. It's such a nice way. But if you cut your head, that bloody thing, it really does bleed. It's more than a leak, isn't it? I mean, it's leaking. There's a small leak of blood. It's just a flesh wound. Okay. And then the third call, this one I like a lot because they're not quite sure, I think. You'll see what I mean. So the third call, this is how it went. I walked into a glass door on the first floor of Apple Park when I was trying to go outside, which was very silly. And then the dispatcher says, you walked through a glass door. And the caller just goes, no, I didn't walk through a glass door. I walked into a glass door. And I love that he clarified. He goes, no, I didn't go through the door. I just walked into it because I'm an idiot. And when Apple was asked, why do you have glass walls everywhere when they're clearly dangerous, they responded that it's an innovative design and it allows workers to move around quickly with few distractions. But clearly it doesn't allow workers to move around quickly because they're trying to walk through the walls. And I can tell you from personal experience, there is no bigger distraction than hitting your fucking nose into what you think is air. And it's not. It turns out to be glass, and it's probably Gorilla Glass because it's Apple, right? It hurts. And here's a name you probably thought you wouldn't hear ever again. Roy Moore. You remember him? The Alabama Senate candidate who was beaten pretty badly after a number of allegations of sexual misconduct came out. Well, the judge, or the former judge, is back. And this is great because I think this takes desperation to a whole new level. He is currently being sued by a lady who says she was molested by him when she was 14. And Roy Moore is now asking his supporters to donate money so that he can fight the lawsuit. He's asking for $250,000 so he can fight this lawsuit and prove that he's innocent. And I don't know where he's asking for the money. I assume it's like sort of a GoFundMe for pedophiles. Whatever that is, I don't know what that is, but I assume that's where he's asking for money. Anyway, apparently so far he's raised a little over $32,000, which is actually quite a staggering amount of money for people are willing to give to this man. And what he said when he was talking about this, he said that he is now facing another vicious attack from lawyers in Washington, D.C. and San Francisco who have hired one of the biggest firms in Birmingham, Alabama, to bring another legal action against me and ensure that I never fight again. Then he added, I will trust God that he will allow truth to prevail against the unholy forces of evil behind their attack. He then continued, I have lawyers who want to help, but they are not without cost, and besides their fees, legal expenses could run over $100,000. So, I have established a legal defense fund. Anything that you give will be appreciated. The big question to me, Rory, is if it's going to cost $100,000, where's the other $150,000 going to go? You know what I mean? He says, these could add up to $100,000. So I am asking for $250,000 just in case. A rainy day, etc. And I, for one, cannot wait till we never have to hear the name Roy Moore ever again. And if you give one penny to him, I will kick your ass. I won't, because I'm not really a violent person. But I will kick your ass. And this week, the President, Donald Trump, declared war. Not on North Korea, as you would expect, but on Europe. And not with bombs, missiles, tanks, guns, etc., but he wants to start a trade war. Now, a lot of people think this is a very bad idea. Here's what the President said.
The European Union, we can't do business in there. They don't allow. They have trade barriers that are worse than tariffs. They also have tariffs, by the way, but they have trade barriers far worse than tariffs. And if they want to do something, we'll just tax their cars that they send in here like water. So we may have friends, but remember this. We lost over the last number of years $800 billion a year. Not $500,000, not 12 cents. We lost $800 billion a year on trade. Not going to happen. We got to get it back.
Okay, so there's the President. And my favourite part about that entire monologue there was the whole, it's not $500,000. No, it's not even 12 cents. It's sort of, right, it's not $500,000. You would expect him to say, it's not even $1 million. No, he goes low. He goes low. It's not $500,000. It's not even 12 cents, which, by the way, if it was, that would be fucked up too, and I'd be pissed about it. But anyway, Donald Trump's plan is to impose a 25% tariff on steel imports and a 10% tariff on aluminium or aluminum imports. Now, you don't have to be an expert to see what a massive impact this would be. If you drive a European car, for instance, and we'll use that example because that's what the president just did. He goes, we're going to tax them. They ship those cars in here like water, and, well, that's going to stop. So if you drive any of the European cars, you know, Volvo, Volkswagen, BMW, Porsche, Mercedes, Fiat, and I suppose Lamborghini and Ferrari, but you probably, if you're buying a Lamborghini or Ferrari, you don't really care about it. But, oh, and I forgot Land Rover. How could I forget Land Rover and Jaguar? I'm a British man. What is wrong with me? Land Rover, Jaguar. So it's pretty clear that it would have a massive economic effect on the citizens of the United States and of Europe as well, of course. But it's not just the people who are upset about this. It's actually a lot of Republican senators are sort of questioning this tariff proposal, and they're urging the president to reconsider, to which, of course, Donald Trump has said, not over my dead body. He didn't use those exact words, but that's the gist of what he said. Because, of course, the idea is that Donald Trump says, I'm going to impose these tariffs so these companies have to pay what is fair, but what are they going to do? They're just going to pass it on to the consumer. So what is actually going to happen, as Senator Orrin Hatch argued, it's sort of strange that I would agree with him, but here I am agreeing with Senator Hatch. He said that American citizens would be made to pay for these tariffs, and of course they would. These companies are not just going to roll over and say, well, it was, I suppose we had a good run, so now we'll just take those bonuses and we'll shrink them up a little bit. We got to make sure that... No, of course they're not going to do that. They're just going to pass those costs on to the consumer. Well, my favourite comment of all came from Senator Ben Sasse, and he said that Cookie, is it Cookie or Kookie? Kooke. I never know how to pronounce that, but anyway, Cookie or Kooky 18th century protectionism will jack up prices on American families. And he's not wrong. That would just be kooky. And of course, it's not just politicians who are concerned by this. It's also US motor and manufacturers, equipment manufacturers, are really, really concerned about this. And in Europe, people have responded viciously towards the idea of these tariffs. It's essentially going to become one of those, okay, you're going to put tariffs on our stuff, we're going to tax your stuff when it comes in, as you would expect them to do. Levi Jeans and bourbon manufacturers have said that they could potentially face a 25% import tax by the EU if Trump were to impose the tariffs on European steel and aluminium. So, in many ways, it seems like a complete lose-lose. Now, I know if I was still living in England and my whiskey became 25% more expensive, I would be really fucked off. Like, really angry about it. I'd be like, this has just gone to shit. Completely. And it also seems strange that Donald Trump is attacking Europe with these tariffs, because Europe, the EU, is the biggest importer, along with Canada, of steel into the US. So it's sort of like the person that gives us the most stuff, we're going to say, yeah, and now we're going to punish you. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm not a business person in any way, shape or form. But even I can see that that's just really stupid. And of course, the whole idea behind this is Donald Trump wants to make steel in America. We want to bring jobs back to America, which is what he's always said. The problem is, the US is the biggest importer of steel in the world by a long, long way, and it imports 4 times the amount of steel than it exports. And this is a trend that's been going on for a long time. Since 2000, the US steel industry has been in massive decline. Production has been dropping off every single year, as are the number of employees and the factories that make steel. So while it's all okay saying we want to bring these jobs back to America, fine, you can keep saying that and you can work at that. But the fact is, as of right now, most of the steel that is used in America is imported from Europe. So by throwing a 25% tariff on top of that, you can see who that's going to hurt, can't you? Well, that's a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer it. It's quite obvious. Now, in another perfect example today of jobs being taken away from people, there is a new robot in town. This new robot is called Flippy. Now, give you a second to think, what kind of robot do you think Flippy could be? When I first read it, I thought maybe it's like a little hand robot. So when you're driving in traffic and somebody annoys you, little Flippy just flips up his little finger. And it's not actually you doing it, so if they go, oh, I'm going to shoot you, go, no, it's my robot. My robot gave you the finger, it wasn't me, that's Flippy. That's what he does, he's a bastard. He just flips up, that's what he does, he's Flippy. No, that's not what Flippy is. Flippy is a burger flipping robot. And this is true. He has been hired. You probably don't hire a robot, but he's been manufactured, he's been built to work in a restaurant. And the restaurant in question is in Pasadena, in California. And it is the first of dozens of locations where this system, where Flippy is going to be employed. And the idea is that he's going to replace human fast food workers. Flippy is pretty spectacular. And when you watch him in action, it is a thing to behold. He can flip a dozen burgers at one time. Now show me a person that can flip a dozen burgers at one time. You can't. Flippy is the king of flipping burgers. The crown is his, and I don't see it being replaced anytime soon. Well, until of course they bring out Flippy 2, who can do 13 burgers at one time, maybe even 14. What the hell? 14 burgers at one time. It's amazing. And a little bit sad, really, isn't it? I'm not really a fast food person. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to a fast food restaurant, and I suspect Flippy is much more efficient than the people they have working there, but at the same time, he is taking jobs away from people that actually really do need them. Flippy, obviously, is cheaper because you don't have to pay him yet. Give it time, because pretty soon the robots, they'll have a trade union, don't worry, and they'll pick it. They will pick it. Flippy and his friends. It's a brave new world, folks. Anyway, listen, we are out of time for the day. It's been a good conversation as always. And I was off last week, and I think I forgot to tell you I was off last week. I think on Friday, 2 Fridays ago, I said, I'll see you on Monday. And then I know you were eagerly awaiting me, and I wasn't there because I forgot to say I was off last week. I forgot to say that. So I'm telling you now. See? So there you go. Anyway, listen, if you would be so kind as to go to iTunes and give us a nice little review on there, it really does help out the show. It's fantastic. And if you would like to support the show, you can always donate, become a member of the family on our Patreon page, which you can reach from our website, which is sothishappenshow.com. And also don't forget to subscribe and like the podcast wherever you are listening to it. And we will do this all over again on Wednesday. So until then, take care. Bye.